Hello. You've caught me obsessing over my time on the latest Astro Bot speedrun.
Well, that's what my non-gamer friends have called it anyway. I thought obsessing was a bit strong, personally. But they don't understand, do they, the non-gamers? They have other things to obsess about, like, I don't know, which singer did well on Pop Idol last week, or who won Big Brother.
I assume these are still relevant?
Luckily, you understand, don't you? Those odd little drives we all have, things we simply must do, like it's built into our DNA. Dogs must mark their territory. Cats must knock flower pots onto the floor right after you've just hoovered. And gamers must do any number of the things we'll be talking about in this list.
So, here are 7 obsessions that only gamers will understand. Now, where was I?
I started by talking about Astro Bot times, and because endlessly restarting that level is the only thing I've done since it came out, I have to include it. This is a behaviour that can be driven by any number of things: self-improvement, a sense of pride and achievement, or a desire to be the best. But as much as I am technically improving my finger muscle strength and gaining a huge sense of pride and achievement by beating my own personal best, it's really all about the last one. There's a thirst that you develop, a thirst that can only be quenched by total victory.
And seems to flare up at the exact moment one of your friends beats your time.
That insatiable desire to be better than your friends becomes all-consuming. All chores are accompanied by the speedrun theme in your head. Meals are consumed alongside world record attempt videos, lest you lose out on precious practice time. Sleep becomes a shortcut dream delivery vehicle. The only thing you need is the knowledge that you are the true conqueror of the speedrun, Astro Master and Lord of the leaderboard. Of course, when you do get that run, that is it. On comes a sensation that beats the best meal you've ever eaten, the best nap you've ever had. True bliss like no other.
It's everything. As proven by typically gentle Dave's reaction to this.
It's done it! 34916!
Yes!
34916! Entry number 2 is something we've talked about a few times before, but we should never underestimate how strange it looks from the outside. Trying to fashion pixels in your own image is one of those things that makes perfect sense to us gamers. Gaming is a medium practically dedicated to wish fulfillment. Of course I want Rhaegarys Targaryen to look like me.
Or at least how I see myself.
And I see myself with hair. Anyway, what's harder for most people to understand is the sheer amount of time we're willing to spend crafting a one-to-one recreation of ourselves. For example, I've clocked weeks of gameplay in Skyrim, but I have to admit that several days of that is just tweaking the eye distance sliders like I'm in the opticians.
Better 1, better 2, or maybe it's better if I have no eyes at all.
Seriously, how many times have you spent ages talking about a new game, buying it, waiting patiently for it to install, pressing play, and then jumping into the character creator, only for someone to walk in several hours later and ask if you've started again? Started again? I haven't even started the first time.
And how could I? I can't get my flippin' ears right.
Next up, that compulsion to fill in every last greyed out section of in-game map. And before you start writing angrily in the comments, "But Rob, it's not weird to want to experience everything the game has to offer," I know. I'm not talking about filling in the map as in clearing all the icons. No, this is simply about eradicating all the grey or foggy bits. You know, the stuff covering the map when you start a game and you've only just left the first village.
I'm glad that doesn't happen in real life, by the way, otherwise nature hikes would be a disaster.
We could frame it as showing love to the developers by wanting to see the map artwork they've lovingly crafted. Maybe you could argue you're at a tactical disadvantage if the map fog isn't removed.
But if we're being honest, we clear it because we feel like we need to.
There's completionism, which non-gamers will at least understand even if they don't relate, but then there's this, running into the rocks on the border of the world to make sure there are no specks on the map, even if you've already completed the game and you're at that bit where nothing happens anyway.
It might seem silly, but it makes me feel very satisfied. Until, of course, I scroll back over to the middle of the map and am hit with all the side quests I still haven't done.
Entry number 4, trophy hunting. Now, I'm not a dedicated trophy hunter, but I do like collecting trophies for games I really enjoy. Because of this, I can use this entry to acknowledge how strange obsessing over them must look to people who don't even understand what trophies are.
So, they're like awards for doing stuff in the game?
Yeah.
And anyone can get them?
Yeah.
And they don't really mean anything in real life?
They mean everything.
But they do mean something in real life, don't they? They are digital acknowledgements of your achievements in games that you can proudly display to others. Friendships can be forged over these awards. Oh, have the Bloodborne Platinum? That's amazing. You should show me how to play sometime. They're like war medals, markers of your accomplishments and reminders of the sacrifice you made to your craft.
Oh, so they're like swimming badges.
Entry number 5 is all about grinding. Quick question, do you ever stop and think how weird grinding actually is? The concept of killing lots of small things so that one day we can kill a big thing really easily. So it's hardly surprising that non-gamers would be baffled by it. We can waffle on to anyone who'll listen about the scale of JRPGs like Final Fantasy, where the final bosses are multiple hour assaults covering the various forms of a literal god monster. And yet we spend the majority of our time in the game killing chickens, so you can make that epic boss fight, the culmination of a story of empowerment lasting several hundred hours, really easy.
It's just second nature to me. You know, if I can't beat the big bad guy in one go, I just pop back to an earlier area and repeatedly bully tiny creatures to harvest their precious XP.
It makes perfect sense to people that play these games. You want to make the process of getting good as efficient and painless as possible, and if that means the extermination of the local poultry population, then so be it.
I am the anti-cluck. Give me your experience points.
What are you doing?
What I'm doing is repeatedly killing small things that are easy for hours on end. Every tiny monster felled inches me closer to my goal. Inexorable, inevitable. A tiny spring slowly carving a path down the mountain to the sea. A spring that becomes a stream, that becomes a mighty river, capable of washing away all before it.
After all, why not? Why shouldn't I be over-leveled?
Entry number 6 is all about crafting the perfect gaming shelf.
Isn't it beautiful?
It is. And I'm sure your gaming shelf is beautiful as well. We all have one, and we all take great pride in making sure it looks just so. And because everyone's definition of just so is very different, that's what makes seeing other people's ideas so entertaining. If you've got a large collection of games, perhaps you've organised them by genre and difficulty level. If you have a smaller collection, maybe you've fortified it with trinkets from your favourite games.
Maybe you're one of those people who's gone the whole hog and rigged up a fancy lighting system to really make it pop.
Gaming shelves are very much an extension of our inner gamer. They put our likes on full display and stand steadfast in the face of criticism. You may not like Metal Gear Solid, but you had better respect it when there's a shrine dedicated to it in my living room.
Of course, being so precious, it does mean that it doesn't take much to disturb the fragile ecosystem of the shelf.
It's a bit like the drum kit from the movie Step Brothers. We can tell when the disc has been taken out because it's no longer perfectly level. We know when someone has moved the Solid Snake figurine because he no longer makes eye contact with the Cloud figurine. So don't even think about touching it.
Luckily, everybody knows that my gaming shelf is strictly off limits, so no one would dare to... What the heck is this?
The last obsession only gamers will understand is staying up late to watch a showcase full of trailers. It could be a premiere for Death Stranding 2, or maybe you're hoping the Game Awards trailers will let you peek at new footage of Norman Reedus' perfectly animated face.
Can you tell I'm excited about Death Stranding 2?
But either way, it means the same thing if you're in the UK, staying up very late. But you have to, because how else are you going to share in the online excitement of the big reveal? You have to be there when it happens, otherwise it's not the same. The build-up is a huge part of the process too, not knowing whether your pick will make it into the smorgasbord of shiny new games being shown off. If you don't play games, it can be hard to understand the obsession of whether something will be shown or not.
Oh, please. Please, please, just any info on the next Final Fantasy VII Remake game. Oh, please.
My poor wife usually has to deal with this sort of behaviour when I'm lying in bed next to her. I have to pretend I don't hear her comments about watching it tomorrow at a reasonable time, or see the frustrated glances that mean my phone brightness is too high for her to sleep properly.
I know you think I could wait, but that's because you don't understand. I need to watch it right now.
We have to know what is happening exactly when it happens. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel right. And that's it for our list of 7 obsessions only gamers will understand. Now this is finished, I can go back to obsessing over my Astro Bot time again. If you're guilty of any of these, then let us know we're not alone by dropping a like. If you're obsessed that we missed your obsession, then leave us a comment and tell us what it is. And if you're obsessed with lists like this, then make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell for new videos every Friday. Thanks for watching.
プレイステーション